Hello, Facebook Live. This is yours truly, Mike George. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last Facebook Live from Crimson House, Alexandria. I think I've said that probably at least 2 or 3 times, but I don't know. Maybe we'll just. We have to keep the audience. We have to keep maintain an audience, and we got to just kind of sell the urgency of the moment, to kind of get some, drive some viewership here, because apparently, my all-day telethon of desperation, trying to raise $1 or $2, hasn't worked. So, but, that's okay. And I went through a lot of reflection, as to why that is, and I was really hard on myself. I have to say, I was really hard on myself for basically my failure to fundraise, and I kind of forgot some key factors here. It's really easy to kind of get. This kind of reminds me of as I think I wrote on my Facebook profile, or not that anybody reads it. That almost everybody that I know in Alexandria, I know from Grindr. And I should have known better. God damn it! We all know how horrible Grindr is, and how Grindr has to be one of the most superficial things out there in terms of how to meet somebody. I mean, even more superficial than meeting somebody at the bar, for fuck's sake, right? Yet here I am, 6 months later, after leaving this Clico job. I mean, specifically this Clico job that I'm now realizing I left to devote to Crimson House, which turns out to have been an entire waste of time. So, here I am trying to start an organization in a place where I really don't have genuine connection with people except for Grindr, and then really, that is pretty much the case. I mean, even my roommate, even my old roommate Derek, was somebody I met on Grindr, and I guess I just sort of assumed, kind of naively, that I'd be capable of taking something from Grindr and sort of blossoming it into something that was going to be, a real friendship. And mind you, I've had a couple of instances like that. I do have a couple of actual friends here. I want to at least I continue to tell myself that. And to be fair, I'm not saying any of this to hate on people. I'm really not. I mean, the people that I have met on Grindr were wonderful folks. This is not to disparage them. But I really do have to I really had to zoom out of this situation quite a bit to realize just exactly how delusional I've been. The fact that I stayed here for 6 extra months to try to get something built here that really is not going to do shit. It's not going to make any difference in this community whatsoever. Now, we did it. I don't want to say I didn't make a difference, but I mean, we helped. We helped. Shit. I mean, oh fuck. I gotta think of this. I do have to write the annual report, so this is actually a good exercise for me to kind of go through and consider. I mean, we have helped people, and you should never. I'm not going to beat myself up over the futility of the little, of the tiny little bit that we did. A tiny little bit of help is better than no help at all. Even if you fool yourself into thinking that somebody helping you is something more than what it's worth, what it actually is. Which I manage. I'm good at doing that. I'm good at falling under the spell of infatuation. And, I've done that in relationships. I've done that with an entire city, in Alexandria here. I mean, fuck, I did that in Portland, I'm pretty sure, if I'm really kind of honest with myself about it. And, I think there's a few factors here. I think for one, I kind of overhyped my impact a bit. Of course, you got to do that a little bit to get sponsors. Not in the George Santos way, of course. Oh god, that poor bastard who got caught embellishing his resume. Now let me tell you a thing or two about embellishing your resume. All right, if you're gonna embellish a resume, make up a nonprofit called Crimson Rouge Studios, and have a pseudo homeless shelter that nobody gives a fuck about. That's a good way to embellish your resume. Especially since a lot of people out there seem to think Crimson Rouge is a fake organization anyways. But then again, what makes it fake? What makes an organization fake versus real? Who can say that this organization that called Crimson Roost Studios that I've done nothing but talk about under a desperate attempt to get money from people. Who's to say it's not fake? You know, who's to say if it's fake or real? Who's to say whether this is fake or real? You know? Shit, I mean, nowadays it gets harder and harder to tell what's fake, what's real. And, you know, of course, now the algorithms out there are getting really, really good at, you know, at convincing you bastards, you poor bastards out there, that it's real. You know, oh God, you know, the thing I really fucking dread is when Grindr gets to a point, Grindr and all the others, you know, not picking specifically on Grindr here, but you know, I dread the day, and I think I've talked about this before. For anybody who's watched Westworld, I think they can maybe kind of, I feel like you've maybe heard me talk about this before, but I dread the day in which AI becomes sophisticated enough to where I fall in love with a bot on Grindr, to the point where I like actually have better conversations with people no, not even with people, I'm sorry, with a fake bot on Grindr than I do with a real person on Grindr. That thought chills me to the bone. It really fucking does. I mean, you guys have already seen me kind of lose my sort of interest in people. You know, in terms of this stupid fucking people who can't keep a conversation to save their life, and who can only manage to talk about themselves all day, and that's if they get off their fucking phone. So I mean, shit. So that day will come. I can promise you that, if it's not here already. God, I hope not. I need to make sure I'm like, I don't know. I gotta make sure I'm like happily distracted with a husband somewhere before we ever get to a point of like AI that we fall in love with, an AI that's sophisticated enough into you know, kind of fooling me the same way that some of you guys have fooled me into thinking that we were more than just like a fuck buddy, you know. So shit. That is a sad thing to think about, but we're not there. We're not there yet. And, you know, we're humans. And what gives me comfort being a human, obviously, you know, besides the flesh and skin and penis and, you know, all those wonderful things. What gives me hope in humanity and, you know, sort of our shared humanity, I mean, is the fuck-ups. Just to think about it. I mean, machine learning is all about refinement. Sometimes fucking merciless refinement. Sometimes refinement at the expense of, you know, of humanity. And by that I mean, like, you know, just the ruthlessness of sort of an optimization function. You know, kind of culling off the weak. You know, you can imagine. Well, one can imagine Hitler tried to do that, and he wasn't even an algorithm. Yeah. So, anyways, that's something what gives me hope. And that's, you know, and I used to be such a perfectionist. In fact, I am a perfectionist, kind of, in a way of it. Well, and that's not saying that I'm perfect at all. Please, I don't think I'm that delusional. But you know, I am to a certain degree. I guess I just expect too much of people, and I think that's just because I expect a lot from myself, and I think that is because I just felt like I had to. I don't know, like, I think it's part of that whole, like, being from a small town thing, you know, kind of being the big fish in the small pond, and then kind of escaping into the bigger pond, and like kind of having that self-consciousness of always being good enough to survive in the bigger pond. I think that's definitely what it is. I've always kind of had that mindset, you know, growing up my entire life now, you know, and I'm still in that mindset, even though I've seen the whole pond now. I've seen the ocean, for fuck's sake. And, you know, here's a big spoiler alert for some of you youngins out there, for some of the kids out there, especially the kids in Steubenville, all right? And yeah, maybe Alexandria too. We're not as bad as you think we are. We're not as bad as it seems. Okay, and by that I mean, you know, I used to grow up in Steubenville thinking that Steubenville was some podunk town, and that for however hard I worked in a place like Steubenville, it didn't matter, because there was, you know, that Steubenville, you know, it's kind of, you know, because I was the big fish in the small pond, And eventually I would be, if my ambition, if I sort of followed my ambitions a bit, I would end up in that much bigger pond in the ocean where I try to be, where though I was the big fish in a small pond once upon a time, I would merely just be another maybe mediocre fish with much bigger fish in that ocean that could eat me. I think that's the good old rat race. And after growing, I think now I feel very confident. I've lived in 6 different places. I've seen 6 different parts of the ocean, 6 different outlets from 6 different ponds, if you will. And here's some wisely advice from a seasoned vet / bitter old man. The ocean is not as impressive as you think it is. No, honey, it is not as impressive as you think it is. That big giant fish, that kingfish that rules over the ocean, is not as they are not as infallible as you think. They are, after all, fish too. They are not Poseidon. No, that's a whole different story. I mean, I would love to fuck Poseidon, but that's kind of beyond my league. But shoot, it's amazing though, because so much of my own mindset is colored in that sort of that self-consciousness, that sort of self-consciousness of being of never being good enough, I guess, really. That feeling of always never being good enough. That even if you got your straight A's, even if you got the 100%, there was always somebody out there that would be better than you. One time I said this, I reflected on this a bit ago, and that is not true. Sometimes you really are the best. Even if you don't, even if you didn't make it to the Olympics or whatever, even if nobody recognized you for it, sometimes you really are the best in the world. I mean, that's almost a scary thought in a way, because if I'm really the best in the world, then we got a lot of work to do, guys. But that's also, there's a comfort in that as well, and I think that comfort kind of comes to play when you realize how much stress and how much anguish is really of your own making. And, this kind of goes back to a concept that RuPaul talks about in, RuPaul's Drag Race, about the saboteur. That we are really almost always our own worst enemy. And that's kind of the specific mechanism through which that saboteur in us works. But you know what, though? Once you realize that, as I'm kind of starting to do right now, even just while I'm talking to you guys about it, one person on here, it actually gives me a lot of comfort. It gives me a lot of comfort. Well, I don't know. I have to think about this a little bit, because it gives me comfort knowing that I am the best in the world at once upon a time at something. Maybe not anymore. But it also gives me comfort in knowing that, it gives me distress, because if I'm really the best in the world and this is the best we can do, really, that's it. It's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess, in a way, because when you reach that point, and some of you guys should. I'm saying this knowing that there's a lot of hubris in that, in saying that. But here's an example, okay? So Wanda here, you guys have seen Wanda. Wanda is just those 2 Bluetooth speakers on a stick that I sort of wave around and shit, and I have a lot of fun with. And a gentleman named Will, actually, I'll call him out he's not shy. Will from Bottoms Up, the lovely bartender from Bottoms Up. He had suggested that I market this thing, that I really try to somehow find a way to mass produce Wanda, and make $1 million off, make $1 million off of it, maybe, who knows, I don't know. And I've had so many moments like this before, where I come up with a really good idea, or I come up with some really awesome thing that I really want to do, but then I don't do it, because I kind of hesitate, and I say, well, fuck, why waste my time? There's going to be somebody, surely somebody else has had to have had this idea before. And I still think that, really, with Wanda, because it just seems so odd to me that nobody else has thought to put 2 Bluetooth speakers on a stick and have that be a toy. But, at the same time, maybe a lot of other people have had that same thought, So it really kind of, at the end of the day, you can sit here and just make all the excuses up as to why somebody's better than you, and therefore why you shouldn't do something. And that's kind of what I've done in so many times in my life, I have just, where I come with a good idea and I don't do anything, I don't do squat with it because I just assume that why waste my time? Somebody else has done it already. I'm only one person. And man, that's not true. I mean, I'm 36 years old now and I'm looking around me and I'm like, really? Really? This is the best that we did? This is the best we can do? So maybe it is true that you are, maybe that idea that you have right now is unique. Maybe that idea that you have is that next $1 million idea. I mean, goddamn, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure, was once upon a time had that same sort of moment where he came, he kind of just, in the early days of Facebook, I'm sure he back then he had MySpace, he had LiveJournal. I mean, you had other competitors out there. He didn't sit back and do nothing because he convinced himself that Tom from MySpace was better than him. He just fucking did it. And now I'm talking to you on his platform, bitching about how awful Facebook is. So, I mean, shoot. I mean, if the world is not a funny place sometimes just because of our own minds and how our own minds can really fuck us over. I mean, we really are our own worst enemy, guys, sometimes. And I'm not even the worst one of them all. I mean, some of you guys have met Miranda in there. I mean, and let's be fair to Miranda, okay? She's not my enemy. In fact, sometimes I got to dispatch Miranda to kind of be my frontline soldier a little bit. That's kind of why she exists, really. But yeah, I mean, just I hate to kind of bring up the cliche from the Nike ads. Just do it, but just fucking do it. Like I spend so much of my mental energy disparaging myself, and you can call it what you will. If it's an Asian thing, if it's a gay guy thing, or if it's just a Mike George thing, I don't know. Fuck it. Or it could be a small town thing. I don't know. But I mean, like, just fucking do it, and let reality be the check on your success, not some made up bullshit that you kind of conjure up in your head. Okay. So, anyways, I'll keep that short and sweet because I got a lot of work to do to get this place cleaned up and packed and everything. So, yeah. And I'm gonna get to the bar tonight. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck anymore. It's just stuff, after all. Now I'll make sure to get all the good stuff, of course. Not gonna let that get to the. We're not gonna let the good stuff make it to the sheriff's auction here. Actually, I bet the sheriff. It was the city sheriff, not the. I didn't even know that there was a thing called a city sheriff, but that's the guy who's evicting me, or that's the guy who will be physically removing me from the premises if I don't get out of here by noon tomorrow. He actually kind of came by today to kind of like just see how I was doing. I don't think he meant it like in a genuinely threatening way, or maybe he did. Who knows? Maybe his boys are sometimes kind of funny that way. But no, I have not. I mean, I'm gonna do this the legit way. I'm not gonna try to cause a ruckus here. I mean, I've already put my landlord through enough, for fuck's sake. So yeah. So let me just recap here. Just do it, and don't let your saboteur. Don't don't allow yourself to fall prey to the excuses. Because God damn it, if I have done that, or if I have fallen prey already to some of the lamest fucking excuses from just you people. From boys out there and shit. I don't need any more for my own head. Okay, thank you very much. So, bye. No, we're gonna fucking do some shit. I'm tired of, because, as I said the other day, like, I'm tired of seeing, like, the douchebags win. I'm tired of seeing the douchebags win. And sometimes you really just have to, like, say, fuck it. Like, get out of your own way and just fucking do it, because that's what the douchebags are doing. Do you think the douchebags have a conscience in there telling them, like, that they're not good enough and blah, blah, blah? No, of course not. That's kind of almost the definition of a douchebag, in a way. The hubris around it all. So, just get out of your own way. Stop hanging out with people that, like, don't give a fuck about you. And just move on. And that's what I'm doing, like, this weekend, when I get the fuck out of Alexandria. Because I've determined now that nobody here gives a fuck about me. And that's okay. Because why should they? I've been here a total of a year and a half. I haven't really, like, done too much in this community. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who have done way more than me out there, and they deserve the credit. So, like, that's okay. That's why I'm going back to, that's why I want to go back to Ohio. Because, you guys have heard me talk about Ohio and stuff, and just how I feel like, I mean, not, I'm going to sound a little egotistical or whatever, but I feel like Ohio could use me right now. And I don't mean that like in a way, I hope I don't sound like arrogant when I say that, but I think Ohio could use me. Yeah, and I have a couple specific things I'm thinking of. Yeah. Well, if you want to know more about, I know that sounds kind of vague, but if you want to know more about what I'm referring to, you can go back to the other videos that nobody's watched. Well, these, yeah. So, yeah, but God damn it, time is precious, all right? Don't waste it on people that don't give a fuck about you, all right? Move on. That's what I'll be doing. So there's my advice for you guys. Take it and run with it, boys and ladies, and, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Al. And yes, Al Roker too, fine. So, on that note, Merry Christmas, Merry whatever the holiday is between Christmas and New Year's. I think it's a Kwanzaa day today. We'll call it day 5 of Kwanzaa. I don't think I probably don't think it is at all, but we'll run with that. Somebody fact check out. If somebody actually knows anything about Kwanzaa, feel free to fact check me on that. They won't. Shit. Anyways, Tulu, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else who actually gives a fuck.